This is a video going over my first marathon in Carlsbad, California, which is a little north of San Diego. We got in on Friday, were able to get to the convention to pick up my bib and my swag bag. And because the race is on Sunday, we're going to be taking the kids, or we're able to take the kids to Legoland the day before. So the race was on Sunday. This is very dark, and I've actually adjusted it to try to get some light into the images here. But this is at the very start of the race, and it was pitch black. Again, this is adjusted to see something in the camera, but most of it for the first couple miles was just black. When it finally started to open up and it was light, it looked really beautiful, the scenery, but it was very cloudy, not typical necessarily of San Diego or Southern California weather. The town of Carlsbad was really nice downtown area, and it was quite an experience to be running for this long of a distance with so many different people. I had previously done the half marathon in Monterey, but to be doing the full one was just a different experience. And also because this particular one had multiple loops as opposed to just one loop there and back, you'll see that this Carlsbad city sign or downtown arc, actually we pass it 2 or 3 times, I believe, in this marathon. And to be honest, as I was running this marathon, I was getting quite confused about where we were because I've never been to Carlsbad before. And every time we finished a loop, they would slightly adjust the loop to be a new loop. So we would go in a slightly different pattern than we did before. And again, it was nice. We got to see a lot of the scenery, but for me, I have a bad sense of direction already. I was getting very confused as to where I was. This was one of the coolest things that I saw when I was on my marathon, and I just took a long shot of it because this guy had to have been older than me, but was running the entire marathon. He finished before me, and he was holding the American flag the entire time. And to get it while the sun was coming up over the horizon line was just absolutely incredible. Area, the terrain, the elevation changes, they're all very similar to Monterey County, and they're very similar to where I train already, and they're very similar to the half marathon. So I thought this would be a great first marathon, not too difficult, nothing too crazy. This is mile 9. I'm still feeling good at this point, and for a while I was actually keeping myself at a much faster pace than I probably should have, because I had those, race day nerves or race day adrenaline. You can see right here I'm with the 4-hour 20-minute pacers, and I was able to keep up with this pacing group for a really long time, and I felt really good while doing it. I didn't feel like I was overexerting myself. My heart rate was in check. I wasn't in a position where I thought I wouldn't be able to maintain this for the entirety of the race. However, I did make some poor nutrition choices the night before, and while my family ate pasta, I decided I would eat a meatball sub from a place that I've never had a meatball sub before. And that meatball sub was the most horrific meatball sub I have ever had in my life. I won't mention the restaurant that it came from, but it was so bad that the meatballs were undercooked, and I ate them anyway, and it led to some stomach issues that I wasn't yet experiencing at this point, but I soon experienced at mile 20, where I had to pull off to the side and sit on a porta potty for a good 15 minutes. Which was a real bummer because when I came out, it was extremely tough for me to catch up with the pacing group that I was at, and every time I tried to run at a quicker pace to catch up to them, I felt like I was going to have to use the porta potty again. This is mile 26, and I gotta tell you, it was incredibly difficult at this point for me. I saw 26 miles and I thought to myself, wow, I'm almost done here. I'm gonna be done in just such a short amount of time. And then it just kept feeling like forever and forever. And I just felt like I kept running, and I didn't ever think that 2/10 of the mile was going to stop. And I had to just stop at one point and look at myself and say, longest 2/10 of a mile in my life. And at this point I have a jacket on because I am so cold, because I can't run fast enough to generate any heat in my body, because every time I start to speed up my run, I feel like I gotta use the porta potty again, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm just focused on finishing, and the next thing I'm focused on is not walking through the finish line, because that was the last thing that I wanted to do, was to walk any of this marathon, let alone walking through the finish line. Besides the constant looping that occurred in this marathon, which kind of messed with my mind, the other thing that messed with my mind is the fact that people were running half marathons next to me, so their pace was significantly faster than mine, even though they looked significantly more out of shape than I did. And then I had to realize, wait a minute, look at their bib number, which is how you could tell what they were running, either marathon or half marathon, and a lot of these people were running half marathons. This is the final stretch, and I couldn't be happier at this point. I was about to finish. I was not yet at the finish line, which was insane because it felt, again, like 2/10 of the mile took forever. But after I crossed this first bib tracker, I knew that all I had to do was continue the pace I was at, and even if I needed to use the restroom, there would be one at the end of the finish line. And even though that clock said 4 hours 51 seconds, my Apple Watch said 4 hours 40 seconds. So that's the time that I'm going with. Even though I was cramped up, my body felt horrible, I was able to get myself over, grab my medal, and sort of take a pause and just feel good about completing the marathon. Maybe not exactly how I had planned in my head to complete it, but finishing it nonetheless, and being alive afterwards, which was important. Just finished first marathon, under 5 hours, dead inside. Don't know if I'll ever do another one ever again. I truly felt that way in the moment. I felt like I would never do a marathon ever again. I felt like I destroyed my body during those 26.2 miles. But the funny part is, after only a few hours, I was already starting to plan in my head what I could do differently next time. And I was already thinking to myself, man, if I had only planned to do things this way or done things that way. And I think that is the beauty of a marathon. There's so much time during this event that there are so many different things that can happen, different things that you can do right or wrong, that it gives you an endless amount of variables to tweak and therefore an endless amount of challenges to overcome, which again, that's half the fun of your marathon.
Yeah.